who has heard of TanStack Start before today? Great, and who has built an application using TanStack Start before today? Right. So for the 2 or 3 of you who didn't raise their hand, I will give a quick introduction. So TanStack Start is our full-stack framework for client-first applications. It's built on top of TanStack Router, so it has typed routes, typed search state, typed loaders. Everything is typed. We also have a router cache and much more features. And on top of that, we layer server features when you need them. So for example, streaming SSR, server functions, middleware, and overall, again, end-to-end type safety. Start is supported by Vite and RS build, and we have adapters for React and Solid. So today I'm going to be talking about React server components, and they obviously only apply to the React version of Start, but we generally have one design theme, which is we build primitives that compose. And you will see that our RSC design also follows the same idea. But before we talk about how TanStack Start handles React server components, I want to pull back the curtain a bit what RSC actually is. In many frameworks, the RSC pipeline is hidden. So you write files, you add directives, and the framework decides how server components are rendered, how the result is decoded, and eventually how HTML comes out of that. So let's separate the React mechanism from any framework architecture. At the React level, there are just 2 core operations necessary for RSC. First, render to readable stream runs in the RSC render environment. Server components execute there, and client components become references. The result is a data stream for React, and that is not HTML. And that proprietary protocol is called Flight internally by React. And the second step is a function called create from readable stream, and that runs on the consumer of that stream. So it decodes the stream and into a renderable React value. And 2 common consumers of that stream are the browser and the SSR environment. So in the browser, React decodes the RSC stream and reconciles the result into the existing DOM during client-side navigation, and that doesn't involve SSR at all. And during SSR, the React decodes the stream again, passes the result into React DOM server, and produces HTML for the initial document response. So just to clarify, RSC is not SSR, and RSC actually just produces data for React, and SSR is just one possible consumer. And once we see RSC as just a payload, the rest of what follows now will follow naturally. You can fetch it, you can cache it, you can invalidate it, you can persist it, and you can compose it. So before we go deeper now, I want to make one thing explicit. You might not need React server components. So people associate a lot with RSC, but they don't actually need them. So you do not need RSC to stream HTML. Plain React SSR with suspense already does just that. You don't need RSC to do data loading on the server, and in TanStack Start and TanStack Route, there's loaders. We do not need RSC to call the server or run mutations on the server. In TanStack Start, we have server functions for that. So we already have quite good primitives for those concerns, but there are cases where RSC is a really good primitive, and that primitive is server-rendered UI. And it really shines when the UI rendering code is the expensive part in both in bundle size and in computing power. So common use cases are markdown rendering, syntax highlighting, and overall just content-heavy static UI where the browser doesn't need the renderer, but you want to ship the rendered result. Now, with that out of the way, let's look at how we treat React server components in TanStack Start. So remember the diagram on the first slide? RSC has 2 core operations. First, the server renders RSC into a data stream, and then the consumer decodes it. So usually those 2 core React functions are hidden implementational details, but in TanStack Start, we expose them in our low-level API. So the server function just calls render to readable stream, and this returns a stream of data. The React elements go in, and a flight stream comes out. Then here, a query function calls this create from readable stream to decode the flight stream back into a renderable React value. And after that, you can just use this and render it inside of your component next to anything else. So, but we're not just exposing these low-level APIs, we also have built abstractions on top of it. So that means not every app has to pass around streams and needs to decode anything. So you can just use the upper layer APIs if you want to. And in that case, one of those it calls render server component, which again is called here from the server function. It returns the stream, but you don't know it's a stream. It's handled for you. Now you can just call the server function. You don't need to decode it. And same as before, you can just render the result. It's a renderable React value. So in TanStack Start, as we have already seen, the server functions are the boundary for request and response of server rendered UI. So the client sends exactly the input shape the render needs. In that example, that's just a slug, but it can be anything. So you're not sending the whole world to the server. You specify what you need. And on the server, you have a validator that validates that the data you're passing in is actually the thing you expect. If not, errors raised and you're not continuing. Otherwise, the handler is called, and it will use the validated input data. In that case, it's just a slug, and will call render server components to, and you pass in the JSX you want to actually render. Now, as I said before, we have primitives that compose. So in that case, since this is a server function, you can just use a middleware and apply that and move out common stuff that you typically have around a HTTP call. So in that case, since this is just HTTP, really, you can set response headers. In that case, we set cache control and CDN cache control. And that means that server rendered UI will be cached by both the browser and, even more importantly, on the CDN level, which is nice for public stuff. But it doesn't mean that you can just return a single RSC from a server function. You can actually return whatever you want. So as this slide says, the return shape is yours. You can return as many server components from one server function as you want to. You can also combine this with plain data as you are seeing here. So in that example, we are kicking off the loading outside of server components. That's also possible. And based on that, we render 3 server components in parallel, and then we return this in combination with plain data. And on the server, it's just like uniformly the plain data next to the server components, and you all render them or compose them as you please. And that pattern is usually useful when you have multiple server rendered regions that share the same data load, or you want to invalidate them together and want to cache them uniformly. So if that response of server rendered UI is used by a route, we can just use the router cache that TanStack router has, just like any other loader result, which is what we call route-based caching. So if you have server rendered UI that specifically belongs to a single route, just put it in the route loader and return it from there. So in that example, we have get post RSC, which is our server function that defines what server component will be rendered, and you call it from a loader on the client. You can specify properties like stale time to specify how long will this data be considered fresh on the client until the loader runs again. So in that case, we say we want to run the loader whenever stale time is exceeded or when a new post ID value is passed in. So we just call the server function with the post param, and then we return the server component. And again, we just access the data on the client and the component. And in that case, we use the useLoaded data hook, and you can render that. So that's really nice if you have data that just belongs to a single route. But sometimes you have server components that you want to scope differently than a single route. And then you want a cache key for that specific piece of UI independent of a route. And this is where TanStack Query fits in very nicely. So once the RSC value is just an async resource, the query cache, again, does not need to know that the payload is a server-rendered UI. So here, you see, we're just using a standard query key. In that case, it's just 2 strings, RSC post preview, and then the actual post ID and tab values. Oh, so let's see. Okay, I'll just pick up here. So again, you can just use TanStack Query to fetch server components as you would do for every other server-loaded data. And TanStack Query doesn't need to know you have server-rendered UI. You're just putting it into the query cache as you would normally do. And in that example, yeah, you specify a query key, you specify a query function. You can use every query function, a query option like stale time as you use for every other data loading, and it will just work. And yeah, you can manually invalidate the query, and then it will refetch, and then you will re-render on the client. Now, the interesting thing is you can just dip into the React query ecosystem, and you can use query persisters, which is really nice. So I built a query persister where you persist the RSC stream bytes into an IndexedDB, which means you can use a server-rendered UI for offline applications, and that's very cool. Right, so far we've looked at RSC as something that moves as streams through the system. You have server functions that return server-rendered UI as streams. You have responses that are cached by the router or a query. But there's another dimension to RSC that's not about transport or caching, and that's composition. So typically in RSC world, the server owns the tree. And in that model, the use client directive marks the places where we need browser code. And you see here that server-owned tree composition. So in that case, the page component decides the composition on the server. It places the markdown component, which is a server component. It places the like button and the client tabs, which are client components. And their client modules will load in the browser and will hydrate. So now have a look at the client tabs branch. So the server places the comments inside of the client tabs, which looks like we have a server component as a child of a client component, which is valid React. But the interesting thing is that the server decides all that structure. So client tabs did not decide what it gets as children. It's just being mandated by the server. So in the implementation, of course, the client tabs can say, I want to show these children, or I don't want to, but it can't select the children from the server. And that model works fine, and Start fully supports that if you want it, but it's not the only way to compose server-rendered UI. So we have built something that lets you invert control, because sometimes the client already owns the surrounding composition. So you have route state, you have layouts surrounding interactive UI, and instead of the server owning the whole tree and marking client holes, the client owns the composition and wants to place server-rendered regions into it. So this is what we build composite components for. So in this example, the route component is the composition root, and it owns the layout. So it renders a toolbar, which is an interactive component, and next to it, it renders a postcard region, which is a server-rendered region. So this component, postcard, is a server component. It will run a server function. It will run inside a server function. It will run load post, which is a server-only function. It can use server-only dependencies, and it will not ship as to the client-side bundle. Now, the idea here is if you want to place interactive elements inside of that server-rendered region, you can declare a slot. And in that case, that slot is called footer, and that says, in that place in the UI, I want to have an interactive component. It's called footer, and I pass a slot prop. And in this case, it's an author ID, a string. So, and the server-rendered postcard declares this slot, and at the call side on the client, we fill that slot. So on the client side, we say post footer, we put it into the composite component prop down here, and you can then render the whole thing, and it composes together on the client. So the client has full control over which interactive elements get put into the server-rendered regions. So this is the key thing here. So you have an interactive component, and it renders a link. You can put anything inside of here, and it is connected through the composite component that we offer. And as you would expect from TanStack, it's fully type-safe. So you define the shape of your slot, which has, in that case, it's a component with props of an author ID, And if you fail to supply up a slot prop that is the same way, then you will get a TypeScript error. I will quickly show you how this looks like. Let's see if that works. How this looks like at dev time, because now it can be a bit confusing. The composition model, let's see if that works. Okay, no, doesn't work. Cool. Okay, so here you see one of our end-to-end test suits. And you see here the blue thing is a server rendered region. And inside of it, it has a client component, which is interactive. So you can do stuff in here. Now, if you want to inspect the data that we got from the server, you can look at our devtools. So here we have our TanStack router devtools. And you say we are now on this route. So you can look into what does the route cache contain currently. And the loader data contains a composite source. It has these two slots declared, and it will pass these props to these slots. And you can then check whether you conform with that or not. Let's make it. Yeah. All right. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Great. Okay, so I just have one more slide. So let's zoom all the way back out. React server components are powerful, but they do not have to become the center of the application. As we saw at the transport level, these are just data streams, server rendered React that can move through the whole system. And in TanStack Start, we can reuse the existing primitives that we have, server functions, middleware, we can cache it in the router, we can cache it in query. And because you can request RSC output independently, you can choose the composition model that fits your use case. So if you want to have the server owning it, the standard use client model works. And when the client owns it, you can use composite components. So we do not need RSC to be one fixed architecture, because from our point of view, RSC is a primitive. It's not the architecture. Thank you.